p.m. UK time. This is the spiritual discussion program. I'm Saad in Bromley in southeast London. Gregory might not be joining us tonight. He's coming late if he can join. I'm not quite sure if he will make it tonight. So it's just me tonight, listeners. And also we've had a technical issue with our regular website, blessradio1.com. So we are now broadcasting on Zeno, that's .fm/blessradio1. I'll spell that. Zeno, Z-E-N-O .fm/blessradio1, the number 1. This is the spiritual discussion program, usually running from 6 p.m. UK time to 8 p.m. And apologies for being delayed late. And it will be a little bit different because this time it's just myself, Saad in this Bromley in southeast London, and Gregory. I'm not expecting him to be able to join us. He's let's say occupied at the moment, running late, let's say, to get to our show tonight. So welcome, listeners. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. And we have a new topic every week. The topic tonight, it is to intervene or to let it be. To intervene or to let it be. You are welcome to join in the discussion with any questions or comments. The number to contact us on our UK number, it is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text or use WhatsApp. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Abdushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life, for through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses. No any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Abdushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole, without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he earnestly seeks for the truth. Dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic we're discussing tonight is to intervene or to let it be. Now, I'm sure you've been watching the news or hearing the news, especially about Afghanistan. Lot of, you could call it danger or emergency for certain people. They are quite in fear. And as we know, outside forces came into that country 20 years ago to intervene. And now they have left, and the same situation appears to have returned, which appeared to have, let's say, the plan was to make something better than what was 20 years ago. Or so that's what the, let's say, certain group of people thought. So part of the world thought. So they tried to intervene, you can say. And we saw the result, we've seen the result. Yes, it's not completely known what is going to happen next. The world is always uncertain. Things can go one way, they can go another way. And then many people have said, oh, we should never have intervened. It should be let the people be. Let it be. As the topic tonight is, to intervene or not. So first of all, I want to, because I'm the only one tonight on the show, I don't know if Gregory will be able to join us later. So I'm going to be asking the questions and answering them myself. So I looked up in the dictionary just now the word intervene. It says to take part in something so as to prevent or alter a result or course of events. So I would say that definition is quite good. That's what intervention is. Somebody or organization or group of people trying to prevent or alter the result. And we have seen here in Afghanistan what has happened. It's not the only thing I would like to discuss tonight, but I'm starting with that for now as a basis to look at. I think pretty much everybody will agree the intervention has not worked. The intention of the intervention has definitely not worked. But I want to look at it also from the spiritual aspect, that this intervention, you can say, was an earthly intervention, military intervention in Afghanistan. Yes, there was some event that took place, September 11, that took place, and this was taken as a revenge or some action had to be taken. They thought that to deal with that 9/11 attack, and this was thought the best way to do it. However, as you can see, they didn't eliminate the enemy. They didn't change the enemy at all. The so-called enemy, let's say Taliban in this case, the West went in there, what they thought they could do. And we have seen that it has not really changed in a very major way as they thought. Yes, they changed the government and they brought new education and, let's say, rights to women and so on, but it has not lasted. The moment the West disappeared, it seems to have all collapsed, or at least on the surface it appears to be so. So let's look at it deeply, what is happening here. You know, when there is a result, there's always a cause. What is the cause that led to this result? There's the superficial cause, the earthly cause, you can call it. I don't want to say earthly superficial, but let's not call it superficial, let's just call it the earthly impact and earthly causes, which we can see quite easily. Somebody was attacked, they wanted to take revenge, they came and attacked an enemy, and then took over that country, tried to change the system. They thought they had mastered the people, or let's say imposed a new system onto this country. And that's called an intervention. However, it doesn't appear to have worked. Maybe the people didn't want it. Maybe it was artificially introduced. It had no strength. As we have seen, so quickly it disappeared. However, the 20 years, something has changed, obviously. So the real thing is, this is looking only on the surface. That's what I mean by superficially. Outwardly, there was a change, there was a shift, but not a shift, let's say, in the deep change inside in the attitude of the people, you can say. And maybe it was done through force rather than naturally, growing over time. So what we can see here is, when we try to impose, or we think we have a system that is so, not perfect, but maybe so good, and then it should be adopted by others. But others, are they ready? Do they really want it? That hasn't been examined. So you could see, this thing I'm pointing out actually can apply anywhere, in any situation, in any country, in any event. You can plan, you can have the military strength and financial power to, change some country. And that seems to be outwardly happened. But as we have seen, it just hasn't lasted. So why is that? So maybe this change wasn't really a change as it appeared in a change. It was the change only on the super surface. Let me put it another way. Many times people are called, are looking for economic benefits, material benefits. But do we know really the true motive of why somebody is doing something? Because if you don't know what is the motive, then you cannot treat, it's like you're treating the symptom, but not the actual cause of why something's like that. Why is it this way? So I want to point to that. There is something deeper that we need to look at, and that's the spiritual causes and spiritual results. You know, at the end of the day, everyone is a human being. Yes, we are all searching for peace and happiness and love. Yes, that's what everybody says and claims, but how do they really look at it? Is it the economic benefits at the end of the day that brings the peace and happiness? A happy life in that way? And if the military is successful, they bring the peace because they suppress the enemy. That is not really peace if you think about it, because that's only suppression whilst the stronger power is able to overcome the weaker power, you could say. And as we've seen, once the strong power disappears, then the weak power is the strong power. So that seems to have not been taken into account in this situation. So what is it what makes something last and permanent? You know, we can look at other countries where revolutions and big changes have happened, and yet the system has, I won't say it has continued, let's say. It doesn't mean it is the best system, but it's actually, at least let's say it's had some stability. Here, it just was totally, you could say, artificially introduced and dropped very, very quickly. So what is it that gives the foundation of a good system? It has to be, as I already said, what is the motivation behind it? Now, you could say, if you look deeper, that the people who took over, or were running before even, there was a motivation of greed for power, not for the benefit of the people, the country that they are in. Whether it's Taliban or whether it's the West there, the allies, what was their motivation? Was it actually for the welfare of the people or just their own self-interest? Look at that word, self-interest. Sounds good, but it seems to ignore the interest of somebody else or override the interest of somebody else. One-sided. And yet there's no one side. There's always two sides or more. So how can that really be successful when you only look at one side? So one side, one system, it implies. Yeah, but that side, it suits them, but not suits the other people. Yes, there may be many people agreeing with it in that country that has had the intervention, as we put here, but you didn't bring other people along. It's also so clear that man doesn't really reflect when he takes actions, doesn't take account of the full environment in the context of where we're taking action. Also, if you notice, let's say in UK, when we had the Civil War, I can't remember exactly the times, but somewhere between 15 and 1600s, when there was like a revolution here. But it was more, let's say, took over some time. It took some time for the new system to bed down. It can say 50 years, maybe 100 years. So let's say you can see it shouldn't be in anything that we do. If we wanted to have stability, it must not be of a short-term impact. It has to be long-term impact. And this is what we see in nature. So what I'm really pointing to, man does not live by himself alone. He has to take care and be aware of his environment. Environment, not only nature, not only the landscape, but also the people. And just because one group thinks that they have advanced society or system, doesn't mean they can just impose another one who's supposedly not so advanced. If you think deeply about that, the ones who are so-called advanced, they took time to get to that point, and now you want to pass it on to another group of people who have not themselves developed to that point, yet it has been imposed on them. Or even if they willingly take it, are they really ready for that? So you can see this is not natural. Natural means you grow yourself, you do it, you learn yourself. I mean, that's how it happens with the other systems that have advanced themselves already. They had to go through their own battles. And also, just think about it. One country, and you have basically totally different systems of thinking. Two countries or two peoples who have totally different systems of thinking, culture, and so on. And it appears one person, one system can be just imposed on top of another system. It doesn't really make sense. We know that from history, from colonization and so on. Just because one group is more powerful or has more resources, they think they can overpower another group. This has nothing to do with love for a fellow human being. It's about the greed for power. That's what, as I say, the underlying cause has not been seen for what actually it is. Greed for domination. This can never work. This should be clear to every person. So what is it that we should be looking at, to resolve this situation? Well, let's think about it. I will say it in this way. We exist on this planet. We know that we didn't make this planet. We know that, you can say, nature brought this about. And there was a process there. It took millions and billions of years for this world to form, for the universe to form. And there was, you could say, a system, natural system that brought it about. And we can call them natural laws, also known as laws of creation. Now, we've mentioned them in the past, but I want to start from first principles, Let's say from science, it is said every action has a reaction. That is also in nature. What you sow, or Jesus had put it, what you sow you shall reap. So if we sow a system which is not based on, you could say, natural laws, at one point it will go against the natural laws and it will have to break down. It sounds so straightforward, but then, in science, they're looking for, let's say, they're doing research and finding ways of developing products, and they're observing what is there, and then, in quotes, trying to copy nature, or try to understand nature without even saying they're looking at nature, but that's what, in a way, they're doing. The system already exists that works, and they try to build on it, you could say. Human beings make inventions which are new, but it has to align with this natural ways. Otherwise, as I say, we have, right now we are facing a lot of environmental issues and problems. Now, what I want to slightly deviate now is just to say, we've talked about different groups of people here, two societies, let's say, which are clashing, and one wants to impose onto another. But there's something else which we need to look at, again going deeper. There are people who think that they know, who think they are informed and educated, and they know better than somebody else. Let's look at that. what is their education? What is their knowledge? It could be science, it could be a particular faith, so things like that. But have they really understood that, what they seem to be, following? I will say everything has been understood only on an earthly level, if it is even understood. And that's where the problem lies. Because if you think about it, everybody's looking for love, peace and happiness. But love, peace and happiness is not, although it can manifest on the earth, it is not of the earth. It is not, has nothing to do with material, you could say, things. Everybody knows the happiness doesn't come from these material things, and yet that is what we are seeking. Like I say, seeking power, money, and so on, and so on. All of those, they don't give you love, peace, and happiness. In fact, it's just these words are spoken or written about almost like a poetic way, but when it comes to reality of living, we just use those words, but not really take it in the sense of what it is meant to be, which is spiritual. We look at it only on the material level. So this level of understanding, I'm going to call it, that's like intellectual knowledge, not true spiritual knowledge. There's also another thing. Even if you have the knowledge, you need to be able to apply it correctly. So if you remember, last week's topic was trusting your intuition. I will say most of the time we don't use our intuition. People are not, they're just not they're just going on only the intellectual calculation, you can say. If I need to get A to B, I need to do this. If I need to beat this person, I need to get so much money, so much resources. But first of all, I will say there's a deeper question, again, which has been, I'm sort of jumping a little bit. When I go for a goal, do I ask the question, is this goal, first of all, will it work? Will it be beneficial to all parties, or just only looking for my own benefit? Does it work? There's a system that I have in mind, or the approach I have in mind, does it actually work? It's all our own artificial thinking that this is how it's supposed to be, because it works in our culture or our society, it will work in another society. But the context is completely not fully just not looked at or not fully assessed. So we live in a world with fellow human beings. That's the spiritual aspect that we just ignore. And guess what? Then we have this emergency issues happening now. And we're saying, oh, we weren't prepared, we weren't this. That is much too late to talk like that. When from the beginning, the whole goal was already wrong from the beginning. Nobody actually thought, why am I doing this? Or even if they did they look deeper? Did they look further than what they say? They just immediate needs or wishes, which was to take revenge, let's say, or to change that system there. Yeah, but there's a system already existing there, which do you know what it is? Do you understand it? Maybe it's been there 1,000 years, and you think you can change something in a few years. So all that is just not taken account of. It's just think they're another human being. We are like this, they can be like this. Yeah, but they speak different language, they think differently. Do you understand that? And I will just educate them in this freedom and thinking like, yes, they are fellow human beings, 100%. They must also have feelings and dreams and, let's say, similar human rights thinking and so on. That's what we think. But is it really so? It's just this is not what has not been thought about. So, like I say, we need to look at the big picture. Let me say there is a natural system which has been formed through natural laws, that is the universe. Man is come through those natural laws, and yes, he's developed into his own societies, cultures, and countries. There are different races, and they have different gifts, even though the basic human being in all these people is the same, you know. However, they are different, and this needs to be respected. And maybe the Creator wanted their differences to be there. There might be some benefit learning from each other rather than overpowering each other. You know, each country has its own food, music, and so on. And yes, we do trade from the economic point of view, but at the end of the day, it surely is about the people being, developing and growing. So this has just not been thought about in this situation. Now, just for listeners, I would like to tell everybody, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday night spiritual discussion program. We started late tonight, and apologies for that. We are also broadcasting on a different website than our usual website. First of all, I want to just say this is the spiritual discussion program. I'm Saad. I'm in Southeast London. Usually I have Gregory with me. I ask the questions and Gregory answers the questions. Gregory is not available at this moment. I'm not quite sure he can join us in the show tonight. So I'm going to do the show myself. This is more like a talk rather than the question and answer show. You're still welcome to join us with any questions and comments. You can contact us on our UK number, which is 07939 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message, by Abdushin. And if you are interested in knowing more about the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is to intervene or to let it be. To intervene or to let it be. We're broadcasting on a different website tonight, listeners, which is Zeno, ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1, the number 1. Zeno, ZENO.FM / Bless Radio 1. Also, we're broadcasting on our regular, on YouTube as usual. you can go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1, space live stream. And then the next day you can listen to the recording of the show, which is again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1 with the that's Bless Radio 1, the number 1, space Grail Message, Grail Message, Message, and then the topic of the show, which tonight is to intervene or to let it be. To intervene or to let it be. Now, I want to pick another example of intervening. Right now, we also know in the news, a big hurricane has hit Louisiana in the USA and New Orleans. I believe 1 million people in New Orleans or in that region are out of electricity, and it is said it will take 5 weeks to restore the electricity. And we know that hurricanes have hit New Orleans before and Louisiana before, and they have built up defenses. I think it was, I've forgotten if exactly how long it was, the previous big hurricane happened there, but they built up defenses. So yes, less people have died. I know things are still dangerous, but less people have died. However, there has been power cuts and there has been quite some destruction. And obviously man is learning to, let's say, not exactly handle nature, but to work with nature somehow. But obviously it's not a very perfect way it's happening. And we've heard of many flash floods in the last few, let's say some weeks ago, in many countries in Europe. Sudden floods. We know it has been said it is through the climate change these things are happening. However, I would like to point out, let's say in Europe where these flash floods have happened, in Belgium, in Germany, which is a very advanced country, so it was a shock for them that this could happen. They think they are prepared, and yet it happened there. There's another country, Holland, which is even at sea level for many, many years, let's say decades or even 50 years. They have been used to in the past with floods and so on, and they have somehow learned or developed their structures to, you could say, survive nature's disasters. And when we didn't hear such flooding happening in Holland, which happened in Belgium and Germany, which is quite devastating. So we should see what the Dutch people have done and how they've developed systems which seem to be able to be aligned with nature somehow. They don't resist it, they somehow work with it. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to intervene, you must know how you're intervening, that it actually works. And here I'm giving example, America, Germany, Belgium, and other countries, they can all learn from the Dutch maybe, that they have learned a system, how to deal with these floods. And they're, as I say, more at risk. They're even, we know that the country is quite next to the sea level, or close to sea level or below. So they've somehow found a way to live with nature. And then, as we know, this climate change effects are getting worse and worse over time. So we will not have any choice if we're going to survive, but to adapt to nature. Yes, I brought that in, listeners. It's a different, you could say, example of how nature, man having to live with nature, how to work with nature. The previous case of Afghanistan, I was giving man with man, man's relationship with his fellow man, and two different, you could say, societies or countries, one strong, one not so strong, but one trying to be. So what I'm pointing to here, and just, sorry, it's not about strong versus weak. As you can see, that doesn't result just because strong on the surface looks stronger and can override the weak one. In the end, it doesn't get you anywhere. And nature, we can see in America, which is the world's richest country, most powerful country, even they are not able to, you could say, fight or withstand nature's devastation. So there's a lot to learn. Everybody has a lot to learn. And humility is really, really necessary. So that again points to people thinking they know better. Yeah, know better in what way? Better education. What education? What about your attitude? How you apply the education? If that's not, the foundation isn't right, then don't be surprised. Whatever you build will fall and collapse. So this is where the spiritual perspective needs to be looked at. Yes, we need bread. Yes, we need money. Yes, we need land. We need home. But behind it, there's love, peace, and justice, which is not given by pure economics, of having a job, of having you could say, neighborly relations. It's got to be much more deeper than that. It's got to be based on a genuine attitude to do good and to know, you could say, to obey the laws of nature, really. To realize that you are not the creator. You're living in a universe as one of the creatures. Yes, you have greater ability than your other fellow creatures, like animals, let's say. And yes, you can mold them, or you can mold the landscape. Yes, we can also, we know there are plants and trees and so on, and crops that we, human beings, have the ability to grow and so on. But at the end of the day, it has, like a farmer, he can only grow something that grows in a certain soil and in a certain season. He can only plant seeds at this time, and then he knows the harvest will come at another time. So he always is working with a system that already exists. And somehow we man think, yes, we built a road, we built cities, we built also bridges and so many things, railways and transport systems. All of them could only work once they're aligned with nature. Otherwise they could not stand. So why can't we do that with our fellow human being as well? We do in a way, partially, but not, it's always in our doing it as our own country for self-interest for us. And then when we go abroad and think, oh, that's another country. Yeah, it is another country, but they have also the same right as any other human being has a right. So this is what is, I can say, being ignored. I want to show something else, listeners. I don't want to repeat myself now. So let's look at the reality. Like I said, the universe was there, created before we came here. And let's now see that there's a creator. The creator is the one who let's say, sent his power, and through his will or his laws, this world has manifested. So what I'm pointing to is this system, it is the Creator's system, his world, it belongs to him. We are the guests living in this world. So we should also get to learn that system. And when we learn it, then we also know what role we can play in it. One thing I think we're very quickly realizing, there has to be a balance. I exist, the other people exist. They have a right to have their land and food and so on and culture, so do I have my right. I can't be running over another culture. It's what am I doing there? They have their right to be there. So it's like, this is all common sense, and yet somehow we think we can teach each other something. I think what we should very quickly realize, that the only way is cooperation, not about dominating another group. When we see that, you can see that it's not about intervention anymore, it's about letting people be. And how I want to show you that, listeners, every human being needs oxygen, yes? Which has been given by the Creator in our world. And what I want to say to you, listeners, is that it will not be removed. The oxygen will not be removed. We'll always have this oxygen. Because the Creator himself, who built the system, he made a perfect system. It may not appear to be to people that is a perfect system. So I'm going to bring that out in a moment about that, how it is a perfect system. Okay, if something's perfect, you don't need to change it, right? When we use the word intervene, it means we wanted to change something because something we didn't like, right? But actually the thing is, the Creator, when he created this world and the creatures that are in it, it is a perfect system. Now, I said he gave oxygen, which he will also not remove. Every person, whether he does sin or good, the oxygen is there for everyone. Why I'm using the oxygen or air? Now I want to bring something else in here. The Creator also gave every human being free will. The free will is intrinsically part, every human being has it. It also will not be removed by the Creator. Again, it's part of the perfection of the Creator that he gives that free will. Now we know with free will, you can use it two ways. You can do good, you can do bad. And in spite of that, the Creator does not remove that free will, knowing that a man, a woman can do good or bad. Why he doesn't remove it? Because the gift is given out of perfection. And perfection doesn't need any change. So now that means there are consequences when people have free will. They can do good, they can do bad. Most of us do both, right? That's what we do. However, every action has a consequence. That's one of the natural laws. What you sow, you shall reap. So you do an action. If it is harmful, there will be a harmful result. Notice, listeners, again, that this law is completely perfect. You do good, you get the good result, you get the good fruit. If you do bad, you get the bad back. This is the natural law. So the free will also, the Creator gives it, and you can use it to do good or you can use it to do bad. It's completely in your hands. So the consequences, and the other thing I want to point out here, we take the actions, listeners, with our free will. We decide this decision or that decision or action we take. but the consequence of the actions and the decisions is not in our hands. That is brought about by the natural law. What you sow, you shall reap. You must reap. Reaping is not like the harvest. Yes, you sow the seed, you water it and so on, and the sun comes over it, but the harvest is not in your hands. But nature brings the harvest at the appropriate time. So you see the timing of it, the consequences are not also in your hand. Now, that's in nature. We are seeing that all happen in nature. And I just told you that this system is all perfect. You sow something, the consequences will come. Now look at what man has done, let's say, looking back in Afghanistan, not only as an example, not a pointing finger on any people. So man came there was some intervention. And then, let's just say it exactly. So the 9/11 happened, America was attacked. It now said, this is the people who attacked us, we're going to take revenge there, and so that plays out so they can't attack again. They went in, well, being powerful, they were able to, you could say, overcome the enemy, take over that country, start building a new system, democracy, let's say, and education and so on. Things started changing, and then 20 years later, it was decided we want to withdraw now. The job is not completed in the sense that the enemy is still there, but it's supposedly under some control. They made a deal with the enemy that you won't attack us, you won't do certain things. They agreed. Then they left, and we've seen what is happening. Left let's say, suddenly. Although it was announced they were going to leave, it was still done in a sudden way, and then also suddenly, in this case the Taliban were able to successfully overcome their government, and this was the army of Afghanistan. I think they just caved in very quickly. That's what we saw. And then you wonder, oh, what is this army made of? What is happening with these people that they can't even defend their own selves? So again, somehow the foundation wasn't right. That's what's clear. But now there's a situation, emergency situation. People are suffering. What do we do? Yes, we go in and rescue them, but all this is out of desperation, not very organized, not very, let's say, let's call it chaos actually. And then we're blaming the governments and the leaders for not, planning properly, not planning properly and dealing with the consequences. And then we're saying, okay, we do our best, we get the most of the people we can get out, we get them out, and then we leave, and we just do our best after that. What I want to say, listeners, actions have consequences, right? Now, people are wanting quick results. You can see it's not possible to get so quick results in a very big drastic situation to save everybody. It doesn't look possible. Even if you're a more powerful country, if you don't have the agreement or the willpower, and even if you do, it can still be a fight. So you can see that this is not the way things are supposed to be. It's just not meant to be this way. And then, not a surprise, disaster happens. We've seen disaster in nature, but here we see a human disaster. Now, what do we do? Do we think that we should intervene? We intervened already, but now we need to intervene again? Or should it let it be? I want to go to the deeper cause of this situation. When it was started to go into this situation, let's say there was some immediate, let's say, point of revenge or build something else. Yeah, but was that new system or whatever the revenge is that aligned with a truly, you could say, a sustainable future, which is beneficial? I don't think this was really, billions and trillions have been spent on the military and whatever else, but it obviously was not spent. That money could be spent on, as we know, on many other things which could be beneficial. But obviously the plan wasn't really good. Very clearly it wasn't. So what I'm pointing to, listeners, what I'm trying to point to is the attitude, what was behind it. It was maybe a short term. If it was really after to look after this country, Afghanistan, they wouldn't leave like in a half-made country, or you would have a system that is a sustainable system, and that's obviously not what has happened here. Were the people really wanting to know, wanting to have this system? As I said, this democracy, as we know, is, let's say, a model of a certain, some people are happy with it, and others are not. And I don't think these Taliban are into democracy. So it's quite an opposing system. So again, nobody thought about this, or if they thought about it, they ignored the actual consequences of something that is not suited for it. It cannot work there. Anyway, I'm not saying democracy is good either, because at the end of the day, what really matters is, does the system, or whoever system is, align with the laws of God, with the laws of nature, you can say, with the will of God? Is that what it is aligned with? I don't think anybody's talking like that. They use that, they use God's name, maybe both sides, or maybe it's one side, but do they really understand it? I will say, it's more about pushing your own agenda rather than fulfilling let's say God's ways. And so the people, let's say, who are planning and promoting whatever it is system they're promoting, it is intellectual design rather than reality. And one thing I haven't mentioned, which is again from last week's show, trusting your intuition. Intuition is knowing without thinking. It's a really, really special key ingredient in our making decisions and taking actions. I think in our hearts we all know you don't go and change another human being. You know, I mentioned earlier about oxygen that God has given to everyone. He will not remove it. He's given free will to everyone. He will not remove that free will. If he has to remove the free will, it means there was an error in giving man free will. If he has to remove the oxygen, it means there was error in giving the oxygen. It's not about revenge. Oh, man has misbehaved, I must take away the oxygen. No. The system is already perfect. Whatever has to be, whether it's good or bad man does, all the actions and reactions are already taken account of within the natural laws. They take care of everything. When we do something that doesn't align with the laws, natural laws, then we can suffer, that's a disastrous consequences. If we follow the natural laws, then we get, you could say, the success and the, the harvest, successful harvest. So why can't we human beings see that with our own interactions? Why aren't we able to do that? Because we don't go with this attitude, let's say deliberate, at least not consciously. not really, and we have been given many teachers, spiritual teachers, showing us the way, and I will say yes, it was adopted, but never to the actual necessary level that is needed for humanity to be truly in peace with each other. That's where you could say, the failure has happened. In fact, if really say more meant to be leaders, the true leaders of a nation, of peoples, that they already have the talent. It's not about, you could say, having intellectual knowledge or degree or something like that. They are already built in within them that inner sensing of what is right. So I'll give example. Some famous people you can say Gandhi. He was peace-loving. He was very powerful in his words, and he was successful in how he was able to get the people around him to, take actions. In his case, he was motivated, or not motivated. He was driving to have freedom of India, his country. However, he was able to do it without arms. It's quite amazing how he could do that. And you will notice that. So now you can see from there, it's not about the material resources. Yes, you need them, 100%. You need to have food, you need to have such resources and things like that. But that's, how can I put it? That's more supplementing what we are working on, rather than being the main focus. Listeners, I want to just remind you, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We started late tonight, and apologies for that. We had a technical issue with the website, blessradio1.com. We're actually broadcasting tonight on zeno.fm/Bless Radio 1. I'll spell that, Zeno, ZENO.fm/Bless Radio 1, the number 1. Also, we're broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, and in the search box type Bless Radio 1 space live stream. Also, you can listen to the recording of the show. Oh, sorry, I want to tell you the topic we're discussing tonight. It is to intervene or to let it be. To intervene or to let it be. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments. The number to contact us on our UK number, it is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And the aim of this show, the spiritual discussion program, is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdrushing. If you are interested in knowing more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And listeners, just to remind you, the topic we're discussing tonight is to intervene or to let it be. To intervene or to let it be. You can join in the discussions and by contacting us on our UK number. It is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text or use WhatsApp. There's another important point I want to make, listeners. We know that there will be situations where you do need to intervene, and there will be situations where you let it be. And one thing you can say, life is always about balance. When children are growing up, they don't know things, so guess what? The parents have to intervene to help them and to take care of them. However, the children are not responsible for their actions. We know that already in the earthly laws. They're not responsible for their actions. It's the parents who are responsible for their actions. Once they reach the legal age, in some cases it's 16, some cases 18, let's say, in different countries, and then they become adult, and then they are given that responsibility, their own responsibility for their actions. Now, but also I'm talking about intervening or to let it be. There has to be a balance, right? Can you imagine if everybody was always intervening at every action, every step? The other person will feel like he's just a slave or a robot being forced and told to do what he or she must do. That doesn't allow anything, allowing the person to grow. There's no satisfaction, no sense of achievement when that happens. So really, these things are, you can call it common sense. We really need to wake up. The times we are living in, listeners, the actions and reaction happen quicker and quicker. You look at the environment, every year we're getting floods and so on, weather events. Yes, they used to happen before, flooding used to happen before, but they're happening more frequently, more regularly, and now in many different places than ever before. Similarly, you can say other activities, earthly activities, also the consequences are coming back quicker and quicker. So we do live in a time, you could say it's an era of change or let's say necessary transformation. We do not have all the time in the world to adapt and, let's say, to be tuned in with nature. The consequences of our actions are hitting us stronger, and if we cannot find this way of living in harmony with nature, then nature will overwhelm us. And I'm not talking, yes, there's the earthly disasters that we are aware of, but it's much more than that. It's all our actions, thoughts, words, and our deeds, the physical deeds. It's a cycle, basically, if I were to explain that. As you know, every action has a reaction. We know that from science, we know that from nature. So when you have a thought, when you do a deed, when you speak some words, They come out of you. Yes, you cannot see the words, you cannot see the thoughts. The actions, yes, you think you've done it and that's the end. But actually they're tied to you through threads, invisible threads, let's call it invisible. Because this is the thing here, listeners. There's a physical world that we see, but there's also an invisible world which really does exist. Yes, of course we know about radio waves and things like that, which, yeah, you know that you have to tune into a frequency to listen to this radio station. If it was, let's say, FM frequency or something, or you have to tune into the website. That one we know from the physical side, even though we don't see the radio waves, we don't see the electricity and the whole process, we don't see that, but we know that there is a process. So similarly, there is a process when we have a thought, when we have a word, when we have deed. Obviously, with every word and thought, we have an intention behind it. Yes, you can't see it, but you know you put some intention, you put some intensity into it, and it is now carried from us to, let's say, another world or the next world, and then it grows there, and then it returns to us because it is actually attached to us, like through an invisible cord, you can say. So what we say, the words are attached to us. So at one point when they harvest, the consequence of those words, actions and thoughts hit us through the threads that connect us to that. So yes, this is a picture I'm giving you. You cannot see it, I cannot see it. But if you know how the process works in science with radio and so on, it's just the same thing, but not, let's say, science has created it. It already exists. Think about it. When you say a prayer, you don't see the words, you don't see where it goes, but you do it. Of course, there are people who don't believe or don't take those actions. It doesn't really matter if you don't know, don't believe, or don't see those things, but the system exists and it brings the results. And your inside, you can say your inner self is aware and is conscious. It's just whether you want to see or even allow yourself to see. Just see that, listeners, that there is a way, there is a process. Everything is a process. We didn't come here by accident. Something happened to make us come here. So if that is not an accident, everything happens, there's a process in it. Even if you don't see the process, you don't know the process. So these are, you can say, some things that we try to maybe deny or ignore, but the reality is that is there. And it is, I would say, a duty of anybody alive to become conscious of that. If you're going to grow, if you're going to be successful in applying, you know, how we make a house, we make we're able to produce food and music and so many, art and so on and so on. We're able to do all that, and we don't necessarily understand every step of it. However, then we just see that, but there is something there, because these things can give you happiness and so on. And why is it giving happiness? Because you're doing something good, right? So similarly, if you're going to harm someone, you don't feel good about that, or you think, oh, I'm taking revenge. Yes, you feel, let's say superficially, you might say, I'm feeling good, but very soon, when you think about it or sense it within, you say, no, is that the way? It's just a quick impulse, like a vengeful, you could say, selfish thought. But very quickly, when you say, just all you need to say is, if somebody did that to me, is that okay for me? Would that be okay for me? And very quickly you will see, no, harming cannot be good. So these principles, listeners, these natural laws have to be recognized and followed. And in the Grail Message, the knowledge of these natural laws is given, how they actually work. And really, not only that, it gives the whole mechanism, you could say, of all the activities connected to us human beings in our lives, whatever is connected to us. The knowledge of that has been given in the Grail Message in very great detail and explained. The whole process is explained, and it does not require, let's say, intellectual cleverness, or your inner self, your spirit, if I can say, can recognize it quite easily. We have been given this ability to just see this is true or not true. And how do we know this? It's not, as I say, you can't learn these things really. It's actually given in the intuition. To harm someone, does somebody need to be told it is wrong? Your inner self already knows it. So things have been given to us, implanted within us. It doesn't take any, let's say, intellectual ability to know that. Your spirit has this already. Love, justice, and peace is already there within us. We just need to be able to access this and connect. The Grail Message again opens the door for us to not only recognize but apply it. Really, really apply it. It talks about the laws of nature. How nature actually works, how we came about into this earth, what is our purpose, truly what we are as human beings. We are a spirit, a living being. Spirit is a non-material being, and we know on this earth we have a body, but the spirit is the one that controls this body, the real living being. So when we do die on the earth, the death is only the physical death of the body, not actual death. Really the spirit, which I will say is our real life, the real personality, that continues to exist. And our journey continues. So the birth is not the beginning of our journey. Birth is the beginning of the earthly life, and death is the end of the earthly life. But we existed before this earthly life, and when we die physically, we continue to exist. So that means we have come from, you could say, even before the physical world, the universe that we know, that physically that we see, we have existed as a spirit. So this journey on the earth is only a part of our life journey. And it is our job to come to recognize that. What I want to point to actually, again, using Afghanistan as an example right now, there are people who are separated, who are the refugees who have escaped, who have been rescued, you can say, come to Europe or America. And then some of the relatives have been left behind, and who are also in danger, or at least in apparent danger. And then there's a big concern, or even in some cases that people have been killed, relatives have been killed, and of course it's very sad for the people who are left behind. And we will think, oh, this is a terrible, terrible thing. I will say, listeners, I know it's not easy to probably grasp that right now, because when something is happening to someone else, you do not feel that pain as much as the people who are suffering directly. And of course, I know that. But always we have to look at the bigger picture. The immediate suffering, the immediate issues, let's say they're only part of the picture. There's always the bigger picture, which must be taken into account. Like I said, the big picture, just before I started this, is that we already existed before this earth, before this universe, physical universe existed. And when this physical universe dies, or the world dies, the spirit will continue. However, that is not the full story. That's and the point of what I'm saying there is, yes, there is suffering on this earth, and it is sad and hurtful, but it should not, the fear of losing your life, the fear of danger and whatever situation people are in, yes, there can be a rescue, but that's not the final goal of the human being, to be just rescued from a situation or to live in a happy, peaceful, earthly world. The real life or purpose of a human being is to develop, to become from, let's say, an unconscious human spirit to a conscious human spirit. And this journey requires experience. Experience, you can say, can be hard, can be easy. That's not really what I would like to say, actually. Yes, life can be tough and life can be easy, but really the point of it is to develop ourselves. We always say we want to develop our full potential. The full potential, it can be in suffering and it can be in joy. The suffering, of course, is not something anybody will want to go through. But it's not that God wants us to, or the Almighty has put us in a world to suffer. No, that's not it. But if we make decisions, wrong decisions, or mistaken decisions, then there are consequences of those decisions, and we have to go through the consequences of it. Yes, there can be points where it can be rescued from them, but not always it can be possible. And sometimes it will be too late, because if you jumped into a fire, yes, you jumped into the fire. Now, unless the fire can be extinguished quickly, that's how you can be rescued. So this is the point I'm trying to make. I'm not putting any looking down on anything or any person, but just we must always be conscious of the reality of the life's purpose, the bigger picture. It's easy to get, you could say, swallowed up by the events, the immediate events, and not realize that bigger picture. And if you are not aware of the bigger picture, oh yes, this is the end of my life, I have died, or I've been tortured, or that's happened. Of course, it's not good if you've been tortured. It's not, or if you had been shot, murdered. It is not good. However, and there will be times, because of the way our fellow human beings are, that we would just have to go through the suffering, and it could mean death. Yes, it's possible. Sometimes we have to face it and not run away from it. It can happen because of the world we live. How would we know that what is the path we have to take? Is that through this intuition, which we must trust, like I said from last week's program. We have to sense, if some decision we are making is that really, how I can put it is, let's say this world is meant to be a particular way, which is let's say, the best system for the whole world. However, if the timing of that to introduce that system to the people is not right, it doesn't matter it's the best system. It will still collapse. It will still fail. So this is where, love is always, we can see what is love, we can always see what is peace and happiness. However, there has to be a journey to achieve that happiness. And if the people, in the happiness, everybody can actually have internally themselves without other, it's not necessary to have to experience with another fellow human being that necessarily. That's what I want to point out. It doesn't have to be like this, that it has to be with some other fellow human being, that, oh, this world will be happy because everybody's happy. No, you can have your inner happiness and peace just because you can connect with what is this power, which we said also in another show recently, that power that, let's say, the joy, the wonderfulness that exists in this creation, the power that streams through us all the time, that free will, that we can direct the power to any place, So even in spite of the challenges and the tough times around us, we can still have peace within us. That's even people suffering with disease and so on. So I hope, listeners, you've been able to take in what I've been saying today about the topic tonight, which is to intervene or to let it be. Should one intervene or should one let it be? You can see there are times where you must intervene and there are times when you must let it be. We must recognize what is been granted by the Creator has to be respected. If God gave everyone free will, who am I as a human being to take away the free will of another human being? If somebody loves another person, do I have a right to intervene and stop them coming together? Do you know what is in another person's heart? You cannot detect this. However, those who have been guided, or those whose intuition is sharp, they will know in an instant this is the way forward. Like I gave the example of Gandhi. There's others who are meant to be leaders because they are the true example. They're meant to be leading the countries or their people. The messengers of God were guided, and it was not the system, let's say, and humanity was able to see that this is, let's say, the most mature human being in their midst who should be the leader, to lead their tribe or their country or so on. And that is how you could say the natural system is working. It's not about the qualifications in terms of degrees or whatever, they're the most intelligent. No. Are they actually tuned in? This is the word I could say. Are they tuned in to this world and able to say, yes, at this moment, this is the direction we need to go. So we've come to the end of the show, listeners. I know we started late tonight, almost 6:30, and apologies for that. But I'd like to end with, as we always do, or most of the time we do, to read from the Grail Message, In the Light of Truth, by Prushin. And this is the forward the beginning of the Grail Message, titled For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I'm addressing earnest seekers only. they must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present-day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed-for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all the obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you are truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Abdrusheen. Dear listeners, I want to remind you, if you would like to get a copy of the Grail Message or want to know more about the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. It was just myself, Saad here. Gregory was unable to make it, and apologies for that. So we couldn't really have a question and answer show as we normally do. And the topic we were discussing tonight was to intervene or to let it be. Hope you found it useful, and as I say, I encourage you to pick up the Grail Message and examine it for yourself. There's a treasure there waiting to be discovered. Only each person has to dig that and discover it for himself, as no, we cannot implant these things. It can only be discovered through your own self-discovery. Thank you for listening. I wish you all a great week. God bless. Just to say, remind you, we will be back next Tuesday as usual, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with another topic. All the best, everyone. God bless. Take care. Good night.